look at the start. Keep an eye on Marquez. Just doesn't get away. Just boxed it down completely.
That looks like the launch control or something was still activated, or something there. Look at the data here. Have you got the pit lane speed limiter on, maybe? Something has happened there.
He had a terrible start. Marquez didn't get away at all. He is right at the very back of the field.
I was looking for him in the top 5, expecting to get a superb launch. A nightmare then for Marquez. The king of COTA dumps all the way to the back of the pack. What on earth happened to Marquez off the line?
Quartararo's up a place. He's got ahead of one of the Pramac Ducatis. It must be Johan Zarco down in 6th position. The Suzukis have not gained ground. They've both dropped a place. Rings and Mir down to 8th and 9th.
So it's Jack Miller that leads them from the pole man, Jorge Martin. As we expected, 4 Ducatis inside that top 4. Great start for Fabio Quartararo. He's already picked off fellow Frenchman Johan Zarco, the world champion there in 5th place. But an absolute disaster for the king of COTA, Marc Marquez, all the way at the back of the grid into that first corner. He's already picked up a couple of places, now into 22nd.
The Suzukis have dealt with Takaki Nakagami already. They're both back up to where they started in 7th and 8th, but the top 2 already building up a bit of a lead up the front. Martin didn't have too much straight line speed, he said yesterday, but he doesn't have any trouble following Jack Miller. Bastianini is coming past Francesco Bagnaia. Bastianini already up into 3rd.
Well, Marc Marquez has launched some stunning attacks from the back of the pack before in his Grand Prix career. If he does it here today in COTA, this will rank as the very, very best. So hard to overtake nowadays in modern day MotoGP. A mountain to climb for Marquez early on here in COTA.
He's battling with his brother at the moment, down in 18th position. I'm trying to go around the outside of him through turn 13. Marc Marquez was plumb left going to turn 1. He's already up to 19th. He's now passed his brother for 18th, so Marc has already passed 6 riders.
There's an air back Giannini, one of the big pre-race favourites in 3rd place. Here comes Martin up the inside of Jack Miller into turn 19. Beautifully done. Nothing that Miller could do about there. He left the door open. Martin said, thank you very much. Miller, though, trying to exact instant retaliation. He does. Up the inside of the Martinator into turn 20. A great action here early on in COTA between the two Ducatis. Miller will lead at the end of lap 1.
Bastianini looks a little bit wide to the final corner. You can see already what Fabio Quartararo is dealing with down that main straight. He's just been blasted past, but manages to outbrake Johan Zarco. Looks as if he was going to take 5th position, but that's crucial for Fabio Quartararo. He's been able to get away with that leading group. Here's Luca Marini coming through your shot. He's not had a particularly good start to the Grand Prix either. He's dropped 3 places to 14th.
So how much of a calamity was that botch start for Marc Marquez here in COTA? He came over the line in 18th place with a 2:09.352. He lost nearly 5 seconds on that opening lap alone. Disaster for Marc Marquez. Back at the front then, Jack Miller sweeps up through into turn 8. This climb then now through turn 9. 4th gear now pinned on the MotoGP bike, dropping down the spectacular decline through turn 10. Miller resisting early pressure here for Martin.
Already a little bit of a gap back. You see Rins steaming up the inside of Mir. He's going to get Zarco too. Rins having to bail out of that one ever so slightly, but the Suzuki's already trying to get aggressive. Here's look at the start. Keep an eye on Marc Marquez. Just doesn't get away. Just boxed it down completely.
That looks like the launch control or something was still activated, or something there. Look at the data here. Pit lane speed limiter on, maybe. Something has happened there, hasn't it, for Marc Marquez? I wonder if he's mistakenly got the pit lane speed limiter on. Of course, they're limited to 60 km an hour, or there was a problem with the launch control. What was not in question, what was not in doubt, was it was a shocker for Marc Marquez. 9th place on the grid, knew he had to be aggressive to try and recover those places early on, and he got dumped all the way to the back of the pack by the time we got to the first corner.
Been right on board with him on the left-hand side of his screen. He's up behind Miguel Oliveira. The KTMs have made a bit of ground on the first line. Marco Bezzecchi, unfortunately, has crashed down on our screen. He'll be the reason you can see yellow flags in sectors 3 and 4. But Miguel Oliveira up to 15th. He's about to have Marc Marquez accompany him. Brad Binder's gained ground. He said a top 10 was possible. He's already up to P12.
You can check Marc Marquez's progress on that timing tower on the left-hand side of your picture. We've got that box there fully focused on the recovery here of the 8-time world champion. Now then, Marco Bezzecchi crashed
the track there.
Turn 15. Now then, the race stewards are going to be keeping a very close eye on this, because there's clearly smoke pouring out of the rear there of Marco Bezzecchi's Ducati machine. Let's hope it's not going to be a terminal issue for him, and it's dropping fluid crucially on this COTA course.
Jack Miller leads us then. We have a leading group of around 8 riders. Aleix Espargaro, who's actually gaining on this leading group. You can see Joan Mir at the back of the group, in a little bit of a gap. Aleix Espargaro, the World Championship leader, has He's closing in on this 8-rider leading train.
Marquez then into the points already. It's taken him, what, 2.5 laps to get himself up into 14th place. He's 5 seconds at the moment behind our race leader, Jack Miller. Black and orange flags being waved for Marco Bezzecchi, apparently.
Alex Rins just getting past Fabio Quartararo, man. Just into turn 11, Quartararo found grip and a premium in the early stages of the Grand Prix in Argentina. He's been passed by Zarco at the start of this lap, and he's already fallen prey to the Suzuki of Alex Rins.
So Jack Miller then leads hard on the front end of that Ducati into turn number 12. It's the top 5 for Ducati in the early part of this COTA Grand Prix, as it was on the grid. Mechanical problems for Marco Bezzecchi. He's getting the black flag with the orange disc. He's also getting the message on his dashboard as well. From a quick Marquez check. Next in his sight is going to be Maverick Vinales in 13th place. Now Marco Bezzecchi, has he gone down again? Or has he just decided to park it?
Yeah, he must have seen the flag.
So Marco Bezzecchi not able to capitalise on his brilliant top 10 finish, a maiden top 10 last time out in Argentina, which put him to the top of the coveted Rookie of the Year prize. Looking back there briefly at the pole man, Jorge Martin from race leader Jack Miller's factory Ducati. There's Fabio Quartararo then.
Back ahead of Rins.
Started in 6th place, and that's where he's now in 6th spot. A whole bunch of fast laps being exchanged by the Ducatis at the front of this race. Quickest man on the circuit right now is Johan Zarco on the number 5 in P5. Zarco at 2:04.146. This is a real intense battle raging here between Fabio Quartararo, Alex Rins and Joan Mir. They don't really want to be busting each other up too much because it's going to give the Ducatis chance to break away at the front.
Impressively, given that he's overtaking people, Marc Marquez is as fast as these guys. He did a 2:04.194 on that last lap. That was only a fraction slower than the fastest lap of the race we've seen from Johan Zarco. So Marc Marquez clearly has the pace, but he's got an awful lot of work still to do. He still trails Maverick Vinales in 13th position. He's got 0.4 of a second up to the back of him. The crucial thing for Marc, potentially long term, is that no one is really breaking away at the front of the race yet.
Yeah, now the question is, I suppose, in terms of Marc Marquez, is just how much he has to use that soft rear tyre to get himself back into the top 10 contention. At the moment, you can still see that he's not going to find a way any higher than 14th place. Still trying to close that gap down to Maverick Vinales and Brad Binder. Down this 1,200 metre back straightaway, you're not going to be able to outdrag a Ducati, that's for sure. It's Ducati versus Ducati, versus Ducati, versus Ducati, versus Ducati. And here comes Zarco up the inside of Pecco Bagnaia. Bagnaia hasn't got the early race pace to be expected from him so far, the Italian, although he fights straight back. Zarco nibbing that place on the inside of him at turn 12, just running a little bit hot. Bagnaia swept straight back on through, and he's back in 4th.
The latest Spargo coming under pressure from his brother Paul Thor in the back of the screen as well. Here is Marc Marquez then. This is the action he's up to. This was just trying to get past Maverick Vinales, and he goes way off. Brad Binder has to suddenly get out of the way. Marquez out braking himself completely.
I'll tell you what, he was out of control there, wasn't he? So easy that mistake to make from the fourth bottom out. The rear comes off the ground into turn 1. Maverick Vinales and Brad Binder were pretty fortunate there not to get collected by Marc Marquez. Back then with your race leader, the overhead shot looking at the 5 Ducatis that started this race in the top 5 places on the grid. A historic achievement yesterday for Ducati. It's gone to plan A so far. Plan A certainly for Jack Miller. The thriller leads by a couple of tenths of a second. Zarco again. Can he finally make this move stick on Pecco Bagnaia? Bagnaia's not going to let him have it easily, is he? But this time around, Zarco will have the inside line for the sweep down from this super fast turn 2. Zarco finally then back into P4.
Fabio Quartararo just about keeping touch. He set a personal best lap round. He matched the leaders up ahead of him. They're all pretty much on identical lap time in the low to mid 2:04. Quartararo currently 1.8 seconds off the lead. I guess the relief for Quartararo is that he doesn't have Ducatis all over the back of him. He's got the 2 Suzukis led by Alex Rins up behind him. Now we cut back to Marc Marquez, who is now past Maverick Vinales. Next target hit is the KTM and Brad Binder in 12th.
Yeah, we just saw that World Championship leader Alex Spargo in 9th spot.